and shake your body, baby, do the conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come and shake your body, baby, do the conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
And welcome back this morning at 6:34. So, welcome back. So we're just talking a little bit a second ago, kind of, about the debt and letting recessions happen. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, right? Nobody wishes ill on anybody else. I mean, nobody wants, people to be out of work or to lose their house. This is a terrible thing. Terrible thing. But we also have to remember that we make choices, and choices have consequences. And one of the choices that we've decided to make is that we want the government to bail everything out now. And, we want more stimulus, and we want checks from the government, and we want these things because for a large percentage of the population, they don't understand there's a consequence. See, they don't make the link. And I'll tell you, I got into an interesting debate on Twitter over this whole issue. So I was trying to explain the idea of debt and why debt erodes economic growth over time. And so I got into a debate with a young person, and it was something that they could not grasp, right? So they're complaining about the fact that they have a tough time, getting a high-paying job, that, the cost of living is too high, cost of healthcare is too high, blah, blah, blah. And, cost of rent's too much, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and it sucks, and that's, and the government should do more, right? They apparently had a bunch of student loan debt, so the government should get rid of that for them. And I said, look, I hear your plight, right? I understand your plight. But we made these choices that created this plight. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, we've been doing what you've wanted for decades. More debt, more government support, more government intervention. And things have gotten worse, not better. So what you want is more of the same medicine that has made things worse for you, not better. You want that medicine hoping it's going to make you better. But clearly it's not working. And here's a good example of this, right? I mean, and you'll see this right now on all the mainstream media talking about the Affordable Care Act, right? This is going to be the debate coming up. If Amy Coney Barrett is nominated to the Supreme Court in a month, there is a case coming up in the Supreme Court on the Affordable Care Act. Now, a lot of people like the Affordable Care Act, right? And if you watch television commercials lately, Trump wants to kill the Affordable Care Act, and, this is going to put millions of people without insurance. It's not true. That's a scare tactic. Even if he kills the Affordable Care Act, people that are paying for insurance will still continue to get covered. Their insurance will change. One of the mistakes that President Obama made with the Affordable Care Act was putting pre-existing conditions into the normal risk pool. Now, if you don't understand this, this is the whole problem with why your healthcare costs are so high. Insurance is a risk pool. Insurance was started back hundreds of years ago to cover shipments of goods. And what merchants would do is they would take out insurance on a shipment of goods on a ship because ships had this really nasty habit of being swallowed by sea monsters and going down in the middle of the ocean, and the merchandise not making it to its destination. I mean, these are old wooden sailing ships, so they sank all the time. And so insurance was taken out to insure the cargo. A lot of times the cargo would make it, so the premium that was paid in to cover that cargo was kept by the insurance company. So, and this process went on and on. So more often than not, the shipment got to where it's going, but every now and then a ship would get swallowed by the giant squid, right? And the insurance company would have to reach into that pool of money that they had been collecting on insurance that they didn't have to pay out on. They have to pay out on it. Okay, that's insurance. So it's a risk pool. You pay for risk. The way insurance worked previously, and the reason that healthcare costs weren't as high as they were previously prior to 2009, was because the risk pool was healthy people. And this is the way insurance works. We have a pool of people that are all paying into a pool of money, and nobody's sick. And this may go on for years. And so the insurance company is raking in all this money, right? And because they're bringing in so much money but not having to pay out, your premium's not very high, right? You're paying a little bit for the potential risk that you might get sick down the road. So the insurance company's bringing in this money, these small premiums, but it adds up over time. And then eventually somebody in that pool comes down with cancer. And there's $1 million payout to cure that cancer, whatever it is. That's okay, though, because the pool, that's what the pool was for. It was accumulating money over time to pay out for this potential catastrophic incident that eventually occurred in the pool. The problem with the Affordable Care Act is that you took sick people and put them into the same pool. So immediately, as soon as I took a sick person with a pre-existing condition and put them into a pool, immediately that pool has to start paying out money to cover their illness. So when you stuck a whole bunch of people with pre-existing conditions into the pool, the insurance, and we said this, right? Brent and I were talking about this, and we were interviewing doctors, and we said, as soon as you do this, your insurance premium is going to skyrocket. Why? Because the insurance company has to say, look, if I've got to immediately pay out, I don't have time. And see, insurance is about time. How long is it going to be if I start collecting a small premium? Say I'm going to pay in $100 a month, $1,200 a year for my insurance. How long is it going to be? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of collection before I have to pay that money out? Well, as soon as you put somebody in that's sick, immediately you've got to start paying it out. So premiums had to go up. And the more people with pre-existing conditions you put in, the higher the premium had to go. So this has been the whole argument, right? Is that we've got to cover these people with pre-existing conditions. Texas used to have a high deductible plan for people with pre-existing conditions. They were in a separate pool. It was more expensive because you had a pre-existing condition, but it was something that was affordable because it was all in the same pool. But because of what the Affordable Care Act did is that it messed up the way the risk pool works, and it drove cost up higher for everybody. Now, that was the choice we made. We also made another choice, individuals did, to not be covered, right? So people with pre-existing conditions, one of the arguments is that all these people that, if we get rid of the Affordable Care Act, they won't have insurance because they have pre-existing conditions. Well, they had a pre-existing condition and didn't have insurance because they had chosen not to buy insurance. Then they developed the condition. And then they couldn't get covered. It's the same thing. I've talked about this before on the show, is that I had a client of mine for years. I was talking to him. I was like, look, you really need to buy life insurance to hedge your risk. You've got too much money in your estate. You need a life. Yeah, I just don't want to spend the money on life insurance. You really need life insurance. So I get a call one December. Oh, yeah, I'm ready to buy that life insurance. I was like, okay, great. Let's go do it. Go run his meds. They come back denied. I said, did you know you had cancer? And he says, yeah. He says, I found out like the week before I called you. And I go, well, I can't get you covered now, right? So this is the whole point. So when we talk about choices, right, we all want the government to fix our problems, but a lot of the problems that we want to fix are problems of choices that we made. And we don't want to accept the responsibility for the choices we made. whether it's going into too much debt, not carrying insurance, not doing fundamentally and financially smart things. We run ourselves up into a massive amount of credit card debt, buy a house we can't afford, buy a car we can't afford. And then as soon as we lose our job because, economy cycle, then we want the government to bail us all out. And I'm not saying that's a wrong thing. I'm just saying it has negative consequences. And we're seeing those negative consequences everywhere we look, right? From spiraling healthcare costs to spiraling debt, slower economic growth, a massive wealth gap between the top 10 and bottom 90% of the economy. And everybody's walking around scratching their head going, I can't figure out why this is happening to me. Let me give you a hint, right? It all starts with personal choices. And at some point, I know it sounds cruel, and I know it sounds mean, and I know it sounds terrible, but at some point, we have to be responsible for our own choices and begin. And until it's like AA, right? Until you admit there's a problem, you can't start fixing it. And the one thing that we decided to do as a country is not to admit that there's a problem. Be right back after the break.
To break the spell of aging, celebrity skin, is this your gin or is that royal waging?
Got questions for Lance later? Ask now at realinvestmentadvice.com.